You're listening to Your Purpose and Business podcast, where we connect you to possibilities. I'm your host, Raquel Walters, a two-time best-selling author, millennial speaker, corporate trainer, advocate, and clinical social worker at heart. Your Purpose and Business podcast will connect you with everyday successful people who will share their impactful stories, insights, challenges, failures, and triumphs on how they're navigating the working world, whether by climbing the 9-to-5 corporate ladder or starting, growing, and scaling their business. So grab your pen and notebook because you'll want to implement the nuggets and tools, strategies shared in every episode. Class is in session. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Your Purpose and Business podcast. My name is Raquel, and I am so thrilled and honored to have Raul Davis on the podcast today. So let me tell you a little bit about Raul. I mean, you're going to be in for a treat with this interview, but let me just dive into his bio right now. Raul goes by the name Raul Blaze in the entertainment field, and he's a comedic writer, actor, language teacher, and personal trainer. He also has been vlogging for about 4 years, but recently he's had a surge in attention from celebrities and media in Jamaica and across the world, thus enabling him to expand his multi-passions and horizons. Raul, it is a pleasure to have you on here today.
Thank you. That was awesome. I was wondering, are you talking about me? So I love it. It sounds nice. It sounds nice and fancy. So I love it. Thank
It is
you.
nice and fancy, and it is and your bio is so beautiful, and I know we're gonna dive into like your different
Hmm.
multi passions throughout this
Yeah.
interview. But
Yeah.
I always like to ask my guests, Raul,
Mm-hmm.
tell me one thing about yourself that is not in the bio, and probably the world, people in social media land doesn't know about you. What would that
Uh,
thing be?
maybe some people would know that I'm from northwestern Clarendon, a place called Smithville.
Okay.
Way up in the Mucka Mountains. Like when I say I mean deep rural Clarendon. So I'm from deep rural Clarendon. And also Rocket and I went to the same school, same
Yay.
high school. Yeah, so yes, I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be someone from deep rural Jamaica because I believe that influences some of my my work, and because of where I grew up, people can relate to some of the things I say because a lot of the things I do in my vlogging are very old time Jamaican. So people who are very nostalgic about Jamaica can relate. So I would say coming from northwestern Clarendon is something I would like to share with everyone. No, country boy.
I love it. And yes, Raul and I were from the same high school. We went to the same primary school. I don't know if you knew that, Raul.
Oh, I did not know
Maple
that. Oh,
Primary.
I
I don't know
knew,
if you
yeah.
knew that. I know you were a couple years ahead of me, and
Yeah,
well, we actually met in Glenmuir High School,
high school.
and Raul was always vibrant. I mean, it doesn't amaze me that he's in the entertainment world because that was totally you
Mhm.
back in high school.
Yeah.
Raul, tell us a little bit about what led you on your journey, because a lot of persons see you and you're doing entertainment, but you're so much more than entertainment. You're an educator, you're a teacher, you know multiple languages, which is amazing. Not only speaking it, but you also teach it,
Yes.
for a world
Yes.
traveler. I
Yes.
mean, tell us what led to you on that path growing up. Were you curious about a bunch of things that led you on your purpose,
I
so to
was.
speak? Just share with us, please.
Yeah. Before I do that, I must mention that your sister and I were in the same class in Maple Primary. I'm in
Oh,
grade six. Yes. And we so basically I guess they always say most most children can become what they see, right? So if people are around athletes, they can become an athlete because they see that, right? And for me, growing up in Smithville, I didn't see many people who spoke many languages or anything outside of Smithville, and I loved it because it was just mountains around us, right? And but somehow from a very young age, my I've always had a wild imagination. I call it a wild because it's not tamed at all. And I always wondered what was beyond Smithville. In my mind made up America before I even came to America. My first time in America was I was 23 years old. Maybe it took longer than some people, but I've always been interested in what was out there. And even though it took much later for me to finally travel and learn languages, um, when I when I went to high school and Spanish was introduced was in first form, I I was doing well in Spanish, but I wasn't conscious of it. You know, it's just a regular subject in school, but I did not know that this would have led me to a certain path. And when I left high school and I went to University of the West Indies in Mona, that curiosity, that curiosity, both subconscious and conscious curiosity, led me to when I saw I was a Spanish major, by the way. My first degree is in Spanish and international relations. And when I saw people in when I'm leaving class and I saw people going to French class, I was a little bit, we have that kind of that positive envy, right? But because I didn't do French at Glenmere, we didn't offer French. I could not go to the French class. I had to go to beginner French, right? So when I got introduced to French, then I saw Portuguese, and I finally I'm like, more Portuguese too. And then, long story short, after teaching Spanish for a while at Wilmer's Boys School and at Glenmere High School, there was someone told me even years before that there was a program to go to Japan to teach English with the Japanese exchange and teaching program between Japan and countries whose first language is English. And a few years later, I applied, but the thing is, I didn't have much. I had curiosity about the world, but Japan wasn't among my places of curiosity. Japan was a matter of chance. So I believe that it was almost destined for me to get into languages and travel, but not the way I thought it would have been. I thought that I would have visited a country where they may speak French, Spanish, and Portuguese. The things I'm gonna end up at Brazil or Colombia or Guadeloupe or France, right? Me never know says that was the irony. Me never got Japan, so me never have to learn one language for the first time on the ground. So I had to learn Japanese by being in Japan. And after having this experience of coming from rural Jamaica, right, deep rural Jamaica, then urban Jamaica, Huey Mona, and then going to DC for a short while to work because I was also into when I left university. A lot of people don't know this about me. I was actually 2006. I was the Caribbean's and Jamaica's representative to the Inter-American Development Bank. I was the Caribbean's intern representative to IDB. So to DC and then Japan. When I came back here to the West to Florida, I'm like, my experience is unique.
Yes.
But I'm gonna start with let me start with the Jamaica first. Let me start vlogging about what I know about Jamaica. And in my mind, I realized then that I was creating Tanisha Goodas in my mind. I was creating Clicker Speng. I was creating Mass Winchell. I was creating Jackie because these were my experiences. And even they came from all parts of Jamaica, right?
Mhm.
And then my international characters or international sketches, which I love to do more in the future, came from my traveling. So my entire vlogging history and the whole premise of my vlogging history, among other things, came from my experiences, um, nature, and my experiences, which were was the one where I said natured or nurtured. So
Right.
one when I grew up in one, and then what I see. So I brought two of them together because I believe that Raul, they have a unique world perspective. So this is something that I should let people see. Hmm.
That is totally amazing and beautiful. And you
Yeah.
know why? And I loved how you wrap that into this whole nature versus nurture. I mean, they teach that a lot in psychology, but how you
Hmm.
just broke it down where, here goes a young boy from rural Clarendon, Jamaica,
Hmm.
expanding his wings, facing his probably fears, right? And also thinking outside of the box, because at the top end of when you started to answer that question for me, you started talking about visualizing, I mean, doing things before it even came into existence. And sometimes it when it did come into reality, it didn't really flesh out how you thought it would be, but it was somehow a
Mhm.
part of what you had envisioned, such as traveling to a foreign land, going to Japan instead of going to probably Colombia, you said, right? Because you knew Spanish, but also had to learn how to speak Japanese on the grounds, which that
Yeah.
just kind of blew my mind when you said that earlier, because I don't know in my mind if I would go to a foreign country to learn a language that I have no clue, no background, not even an ounce of, you know, um,
Mhm.
understanding of it, to get
Yeah.
alone to speak it. That
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was that whole process like for you? I mean, your story is so layered and multifaceted, and has so many different depths to it, if I
Yes.
may say.
It will take many different interviews, right,
It
to
would
get to
take
the to
many
everything.
different interviews, yes, but at the core of it here, the through line, at least what I've been hearing, is that, I mean, is one of following a certain path. Something has been pulling you along the way, if I should gather a through line through all of what you just
Yeah.
said.
Correct.
Um, so I guess my question for you, Raul, was,
Mm.
along the way, did you question
Mhm.
yourself a lot?
I did. I did. I wonder. I did. I There are many times, and I even get emotional thinking about. There are many times when, especially when I was in Japan, when I was, especially in the winter time,
Yes.
because where I lived, I was placed in Toyama. Toyama is on the northwest coast of Japan. I hope my Japanese friends don't be over this northwest coast of Japan. In a part of it, it's on the Honshu Island. So Japan has three islands. The Honshu is the longest island. Then you have Hokkaido and then Okinawa, right? But on the Honshu Island, I live in a place called Hokuriku. Hokuriku is like you'd have like a Cornwall, Middlesex, and Surrey.
Yes.
And in Hokuriku, the Hokuriku regions are known for the Japan seas, um, wind and rain that comes from Russia and the Japan Sea. So when I say cold, I mean it was super cold. And I remember the first when I got there, of course, summertime, the Japan festival, shorts and everything because it's warm and nice. Because Japan gets extremes. When it's hot, it's hot. And I remember the day when it started getting cold and I was dressing with my shorts and same thing because the mirror shorts were everywhere. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But then later on, I remember the first time I came off my bus, I had two schools. I had a school in the city, which was predominantly female because it was a nursing school for girls long time ago, but it got integrated some years ago. But my other school out was an agricultural school and majority boys. And the bus takes a while to get out there because it's in the foothills of the Tateyama Mountain. The Tateyama Mountain is the third highest mountain or range or peak in Japan, right? So I get off the bus, and first of all, the morning I woke up, I didn't recognize everything because the snow fell overnight. I'm like, wait, this is scary. When I get off the bus, the first thing that happened to me when I get off the bus, step one, the drop, I
Oh my
spread
God,
out
you fell.
because I fell because I did not have the ad boots, but in my mind, boots are boots. But it was snowshoes. I
Mhm.
where I work, I needed snowshoes, so I fell off the bus, and the Japanese guy's like, you know, Dajabu, Dajabu, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, yeah, man, I'm okay. And then when I got up and looked around, I did not recognize anything or anywhere. I'm like, because
Wow.
it was white. When I
Right.
mean white, I mean everything was white. So I questioned myself many times. But I'm saying that to say that many times going up that hill, it would be a 25-minute walk up the hill in the snow, and the snow is almost at my on the side is high. They push it to the side, right? And I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? You're from Jamaica, and here you are in December, January, February, sometimes March, walking up a hill in the middle of Japan, nowhere. You can hear monkeys because the offspring monkeys, they were close to where I was. There are monkeys around. The air is thin. You're alone walking in Japan. So it was like a pinch me moment. I'm like, and I have those ever so often. And but that questioning myself actually made me think that I was actually more special than I'd given myself credit for,
Yes.
because I've always struggled with my importance on this world, or whether or not I was worth being here, or was that whether I was important enough to some people, because maybe my peers would have been moved on to their careers or their families, and I'm here doing this random thing, right? So I always measured myself against them. That was where the question came from. Are you
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing? Why are you here? What's your purpose here? And even though I asked myself this, and even on the days I felt like I was going in the wrong direction, I said to myself, Raul, all of this must mean something one day. You will not know what, but it must. It must mean something. This cannot be in vain. Yeah. So that was the form my question came in.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, and it just it shows your courage, even if you didn't knew you had it at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
looking back now, you probably is like are you saying to yourself like, oh my gosh, what a bold move,
Yes.
right?
When people not to cut it, but whenever people when I was there during that time and people were telling me, brave you are, dude. Do you know? I'm like, nah, no, overdo it. But now I look back at it as you say, I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Yes, looking in retrospect, as you said.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. You did the unthinkable. I mean, to put yourself into an environment that's unknown, off to a foreign land. I'll just say a foreign land, learning a new language, a new culture, everything, a whole total way of life, not familiar to what you know, putting yourself in an uncomfortable space. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that it has also served you to this day, on your path to your purpose. And I know that you always questioned yourself. You mentioned about, sort of measuring, when you look back, or you look around, I should say, at probably family, friends, colleagues, people we used to went to go to school with, and kind of measuring, okay, I probably should be probably married or have children by now, or in this type of career track, or all of these things,
How much
when
money
how much
you're
money
supposed to
you
have?
should have already be making, especially because you're smart, you're intelligent, you know what I mean? Because Raul, you remember, you're not a dunce boy either,
No, no. We're not
he's
even talking about that part yet.
we didn't even go into the education piece as yet. He is brilliant, people who are listening. Raul is brilliant, not because you see the entertainment piece, which a lot of people love that,
Yes.
but he is so educated, so smart, and it just ties into how, God has placed him on this earth to bless us, and I'll use that word, to bless us with the different parts of him. And he's not afraid to let it shine, and to be a light in somebody's darkness. And I know we didn't even go there, because I probably have to give you a part two, Raul, because
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
so interested in your story, and I know that it was going to help so many people to free them up from fears, free them up from whatever bondage, free them up from trauma. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Yes.
we didn't even go into the part of you growing up and what you had to experience, and even now going through maybe unresolved traumas, and trying to manage them on a day to day, because
Hard.
yeah, listen, we're gonna have to have a part two. So, guys, on Your Purpose and Business podcast with Raul Davis, or Raul, otherwise known as Raul Blaze. I'm just gonna let you know I'm gonna be bringing him on for part two, because there's so many things to dissect, and I believe that our generation, especially the millennial generation, now in a time such as this, needs to hear his story, because it's gonna free a lot of us. But
Mm.
let me just shift gears a little bit.
Yes.
Let me
Please.
go into the education piece, and I definitely want to go into the entertainment piece of
Yes.
it as well.
Yes.
But a part two will be coming on. So, Raul,
Yes.
as far as your educational background and accolades, I
Mhm.
know that you were a representative, you said at the top, in Washington D.C. You were
Yes.
saying, could
Yes.
you dive a little bit into that, and what were your thought processes going into it, and what did had you hope to gain, or what have you gained from that experience?
Um. So uh, the the reason why I say the reason why in my darkest days, in my days where my self-esteem, my low self-esteem tries to push itself in the front, the reason why I know my purpose is because I'm like, all of these things that weren't planned. I've had, as you said before, I've had ton of trauma in my life, but when the few good things that happened, the way they happened was like, how I got to DC was, oh my God, this is an interesting story. So
Yes.
when in the remember I told you I picked up Portuguese in the last semester of UWI, because when you're going to university, your last term you can just pick any course to kind of big up your GPA a little bit,
Right.
a little easy course. So I picked up an education course, and the last semester I picked up Portuguese. Portuguese was very similar to Spanish, so I was able to maximize my points in that. However, the one thing about that was that the Portuguese professor knew my work, because whenever I forgot a Portuguese word, I just put a Spanish word there. So in university they know you by numbers.
Right.
My lecturer knew me by name, because
Wow.
who is this person writing a entire Spanish word here? Raul. I'm like, you're not supposed to know who I am. And so when I applied, when I picked Portuguese, I didn't know about the application. I went into the Department of Modern Languages. There was a thing on the board. Interns, looking for interns, who are in their final year of university or going back to university, which is gonna be a next issue. And I just went to the computer lab and I applied for it. When I looked at it, it needed English. So the four official languages of the Inter-American Development Bank, which is maybe the biggest regional development bank in the Western Hemisphere for the Caribbean, Latin American and Caribbean. And you have maybe Norway and Japan contributing. The four official languages are in this region: English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, because of where we are. They were looking for someone who spoke two. I spoke all four.
Wow.
I spoke all four, so I think that was what caught their eye, because even though I was just learning Portuguese, I dropped it there because it matched with my Spanish.
Mhm.
And I applied for it and I forgot about. I didn't remember about it. It was just something I applied for. I'm not gonna get through. So I remember one day there was a second guy who got through, from if we were representing Bahamas. So there were two of us. He said, way down and about me. Raul, I saw your name as in congratulations on this intern thing in DC. I'm like, what? Because I didn't remember about it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, your name. When I went through my email, because back in then time, we used the email for music, not for business.
Mhm.
When I looked, the IDB has been trying to contact me for almost 2 months. I caught
Wow.
their final email. I caught the final email. And I applied and I said, sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't, whatever, whatever. And then when I went there, the other obstacle was that you should have been returning to university this September. My thing was that I was graduating. But luckily, I had applied for a university in Nottingham in the UK.
Yeah.
I didn't end up going, but I got like a 80% scholarship to study diplomacy.
Yes.
So I used that acceptance letter as proof that I was going on to school September. I
Oh.
didn't go, but that didn't matter because it was strategy, but it
Yes.
worked. I didn't know I wasn't going, and when I was there in DC, I basically worked in the office of the Auditor General. So my project was basically whenever the auditors went to different countries where they lent money, and in my case, that's two of the auditors from my department went to Jamaica, to investigate some of the misusage of the money in Highway 2000. So I was privy to sensitive information. They would bring back the information, and when they did the reports, whatever the report was brought back in, I had to either write it in the other languages or review it in other languages and give it to my boss. So I was in charge of the whole documentation of it and also the language aspect of it. So that was like they were like training me in that aspect. So
Yes.
so my I was able to see things that a regular person would not have seen, and it was just a marvelous experience because I am someone coming from Jamaica, placed in this position as an intern with so much knowledge. And even then, I had that "is this me" type of thing. It was
Right.
one block from the White House, and every day I brought my lunch to eat in front of the White House to remind me that I'm there.
Right.
Just to remind me. I just sat in front. I'm like, "Are you here?" And one day, my friends were like, "Can you come and have lunch with us one day?" I'm like, "Sure," but it took me about a month before I started having lunch with everyone for just thinking that I was there. So that
Wow.
was the kind of process that I went through there. It was a wonderful I got to meet people from all over the world, and yeah, that was my first time leaving Jamaica. By the way, I was 23 years old,
Yes.
but it was like a wake up and inspiring um, experience. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that is impressive. So you see, it goes to show that we have to give ourselves some grace, grant ourselves some grace, and just go after things. I mean, I know you said
Yeah.
you applied and you kind of like forget about it because in your mind you thought you wasn't gonna get it, and luckily for
Mhm.
you, you happened to see the last outreach in that email to say yes, we want you to come. So thank God for that experience. But
Yeah.
I mean, Raul, come on now. I
Mhm.
mean, I know you were 23 years old at the
Mhm.
time, and
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
then, I mean,
Yeah.
there's an underlying theme where you feel like you arrive at the table and you feel like you don't deserve to be at the table. Like, what's going on with that young man? I mean, you were younger
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
However, it just goes to show that you have to continuously put yourself out there and do things
Yeah.
in fear. Do it even when
Yeah.
you're afraid. However, if you could say
Yes.
anything to the audience when it comes on to going after a goal, or even if it
Mhm.
wasn't even a dream at the time, but some sort of
Mhm.
goal, what definitely kind of pushes you to follow through on what you say, whether you think it first, which everything starts with a thought, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
to follow through with that action, even though you have those fears in your head saying, boy, I don't know if I'm good
Mhm.
enough for this, and I don't know if they're gonna like me, or yada yada yada. I mean,
Yes.
is there something that you can speak to that assists you in following through on your plans?
Yes. I think that simply enough, I would say my regret. I wouldn't be able to live with the regret. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I'd rather do something because I'm by nature I'm an overthinker. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing I can do about overthinking, right? That's a part of my 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 mental health makeup.
Yes.
I suffer from depression, anxiety, and I'm also an overthinker. So
Mm-hmm.
even when midnight at nighttime, 12 o'clock at nighttime, I'm thinking about things that happen. Where I wonder if that girl in third form giving back my pencil. You know, your mind is or overthink. Your mind is all over the place. But Raquel, what I would say is that my my regret, my propensity to regret would never allow me to get over that. So for anyone who's listening, do it. Try it. If you try something and you fail, yes, you're gonna feel bad for a while, but you will never get regret. Is something we don't get over. That's why it's called a regret. Some regrets, no matter how we try, we can't get over it because we knew in our hearts that you had the opportunity to do this and you let it pass by. So right now, where you are right now, anything you're thinking of, do it. Let the disappointment come and thinking if it comes, but you don't even know because you didn't even try. And whenever we were young, especially at Glenmere High School and maybe in primary, we always say, try, and something, but if it doesn't work out, at least you try. You hear
Right.
that at Maple Primary and then it follows the Glenmere High School. And that thing always come back to me, try. If it doesn't work out, at least you tried. And I'm like, so that's my thing. Try. Try it. If you there must be a reason why you, no matter how insecure you are, and I'm speaking from someone with self-esteem issues, no matter how insecure you are, there's a voice inside of you that knows that you can do it and you can get through.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to give that little voice a mic as a loudspeaker and make that voice take control. You understand?
Yes.
So so
That's
so
very true.
yes, the regret is great. The regret is gonna be greater. Do it now because you don't want to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and say one day to get back a pencil from the girl, you know.
Exactly, exactly, because you don't want it to haunt you, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I call it haunting, like, and I share the same sentiments with you. If I don't execute on something that has been on my heart, I always say, I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to live a miserable life. So I have to make sure that I put myself and make sure I do it. If I fail, I fail, but at least I know that I've tried, right? And I think that we were conditioned that way in Maypen Primary and
Yeah.
Glenmere High. I mean, boy, Maypen Primary and Glenmere High School, not to, if any other Caledonians or Jamaicans are listening, but I tell you, I mean, our
Yeah.
schools in Clarendon, I mean, they condition us to win.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
That is
And
true.
so
That
you
is
see
true.
it with us all over the world. We're just winning
Yes.
whatever we put our
Yes.
minds at, right?
I agree. I agree. Those
Yeah.
and again, we're not trying to Big up every school that's listening, but
Big
I
up.
think specifically that Maple Primary Glenmere transition is just, I don't know, it's just something. It's like it's just running to each other, and it pushes you to become things that you never thought you'd become. So yes, I have to big up them for that. Yeah.
Very true. They did a great job. And so Raul, I know that
Hmm.
we spoke about, you venturing off into the unknown and foreign land, right? And then we spoke about a little bit about your educational background.
Yeah.
And I know you shared just now that, you deal with depression and anxiety and
Hmm.
how you're able to manage certain things. But I know that that plays into you becoming an actor, or being an actor, I should say, excuse me, and being able to express that and use that energy and fuel it into laughter and happiness and joy and being a light of the world, and you're dancing
Yeah.
and all these
Yeah.
things. So speak to us, at what point did you make that transition that you can recall? I know in high school you were always a dancer. That was one of the things that stood out for me. And you always had a way of pulling people together through
Together.
dance, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
now the world gets to see that side of you and your creativeness, and you're not just
Hmm.
any other old comedian, and no disrespect to
Hmm.
anybody else,
Yes.
but I'm just gonna
Yes.
speak to
Yes.
Raul Davis, that I know, otherwise known
Hmm.
as Raul Blaze on the
Yes.
internet. And
Yes.
you know you have given us comedy with a twist. It's like
Yes.
you're educating us, you're not downgrading or demeaning
Yes.
anybody, and you're able
I
to
call it
express yourself
I
freely. So
call
speak to that.
I call it edutainment.
Edutainment.
Um, yes, and
Jacqui Duphraatees show, and
really,
you know, I mean, I'm just gonna give you the
I
platform.
I
Just speak to
I
your creativeness.
I think that so from even even in Maven Primary I was doing my thing, and even when I went to Glenmuir I think Glenmuir, when we left Glenmuir, maybe when you were there, the last part when you were there, Glenmuir was trying to finally put the stamp, because Glenmuir always had talent. We just needed the organization for everyone to. But now Glenmuir is doing exceptionally well. They have been doing well, but now it's better. And I always been. And we don't even talk about my athletic side, my track and field side, but that
Right.
two things I did at Glenmuir: I ran and I danced. So,
Yeah.
and I was be able to bring people together. What I realized, Raquel, was that in 2013 was the first time I told everyone that I suffer from clinical depression. I was in Japan and I was alone, and one night I was drinking, of course. You drink a wine and thing before bed. I'm just like, and then I remember the comments under that post went on and on and on and on. But the inbox was not as the inbox for people who were wishing me all the best. Because one thing about me, even though I do suffer from depression, because it's something I realize now that in my case it's hereditary. And even though I don't know much about my father's side, I know enough to know that it was on both sides. So it was inevitable for me to so I understood that, and I accept. Now I look back on people in my family and I say that was depression. As a child you don't know, but I look back and know that was depression. And what I did when I came to Florida, I'm like, guess what? You know what? Yeah, in my inbox, there are people who you would think that were living the best lives. The people in social media you see out there, and they inbox me and they're like, Raul, thank you. I never thought. And it's strange, Raquel, how in Jamaica, well, it's not strange because of our culture, but it's kind of strange how more people don't talk about it.
Right.
It amazes me when I look in my inbox and saw the people who were going to. I'm like, really? And even
Mm-hmm.
though I knew not to judge because I was a happy person to people, I learned not to judge because of the people who were in my inbox saying, "Wow, Raul, this has been something for years, and I never knew how the way you spoke about it." And when I came back here, I said, "Look, listen to me now. I'm going to use my art to help people to at least smile, because the, the, oh my God, this is this is so emotional." But um the 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 relationship I have with sadness, I do not want people to have that, you know? So I use my art to bring joy. I could do 50,000 videos, but when that one thing come in my inbox, say, or that one comment, Raul, same time I get to my man and see a video that made my day because I was having a horrible day. That is it for me. Of course, one day more make some money, make some money and thing, but that joy in my heart.
Yes.
So I decided that I'm going to use this. If there's anything I'm put on this earth for five, you know, regardless of how many talents I have, if there's one thing I'm going to do, if I can put them in a conglomerate as a combining force, is to make sure that people smile because I know the importance of joy and to smile and to wake up in the morning with optimism to believe that you can conquer a day. And that is the main purpose, apart from wanting to spread the beautiful culture that we share, which I believe the most. I've traveled, and I can tell you, I will never see a culture as rich and beautiful as ours. Apart from wanting to share that, my main focus is to try to reach out to people to make sure that they smile. Because by nature, I'm a good person by nature, and I'm not being self-righteous. I don't know how to be a bad person. I don't know how to be a bad person. So my focus on this is to ensure that if I make one person laugh per day, that is it for me.
That is
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
Beautifully said, and it goes to show that we all are going through similar situations. It's just that some of us will speak about it, some won't, but
Yes.
it's good to know that through your expressions, through your
Hmm.
creativeness, through comedy, through acting, through
Hmm.
educating, through all of that, it is educating and bringing awareness to people suffering from mental illness, mental health, I mean sadness, whatever, anxiety. I mean, it is showing them that if you can overcome or manage on a day to day, right? Because it's not a matter of overcoming, it's a matter of managing those moments when things come
Managing,
on, right?
managing.
And knowing how to identify the symptoms, and kind of going into your toolkit, your toolbox, on using different tools to combat that, right? So for
Yes.
you, it's through laughter, it's through acting, it's through
Yeah.
dancing, it's through exercising, right? Or sometimes a combination of everything to get you through your days, while in turn you're helping somebody else, right? And so it's a blessing that you're able to do so, to help so many, even when persons
Hmm.
don't reach back out to you, Rahul. I want you to know
Hmm.
that they're listening, they're watching, and when you don't even post, they're looking to say, when is he gonna post again? Because I need to know that he's okay, and I know that his content is also helping me and my life. So I
Oh,
always want
that's
you to
beautiful.
remember that. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Even though I know
Thank
you
you.
have persons in DMing you in your inbox saying thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. So
Thank
I
you so
never
much.
want you to
Mhm.
give up on that. But boy, Raul, give us a little bit of the Jacqui Duphraatees now, because that is my favorite character, I have to say, over halfway tree, right? I mean, I can't even say it, so I'm not even
Yes,
gonna try.
yes.
Please just give us a little ad lib or whatever you want to call
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. So the quick backstory to Jackie. So Jackie
Yeah.
Duphraatees is my uptown character, is by far my most popular character, and she basically, oh my God, am I gonna say this on the podcast? She was inspired by the parents at Wolmer's Boys School, the mothers at Wolmer's Boys School. It's the
Yes.
first time I'm admitting that, because Wolmer's has students from all different parts of Jamaica, but
Yes.
the upper echelon, let's say upper echelonian, the upper echelonians side
Yes.
of Jackie. So basically, Jackie is a person who says things like Jackie Duphraatees. When you're talking like Jackie Duphraatees, you have to talk in your nasal cavity because you have to make sure that you can't sound like the regular Butu Yagabons who live below the manor park. Some people believe that the ghetto starts below halfway tree, but the ghetto actually starts below Manor Park. I mean, who would live anywhere below Manning's Hill Road? It's like whenever I try to go to the supermarket to buy my citrus-free oranges or my H2O-free water or my poultry-free chicken, I try not to go to somewhere like Azan's I have to go to Lesotho. And then if Lesotho becomes too ghetto, I just fly to Miami on the weekends. So yeah,
Oh my gosh. I just fly to Miami on the weekends. I mean, I don't
weekend.
have that
Oh,
nasal,
yes.
but
No, you have to say Miami. It's Miami.
oh, I don't fly to Miami on the weekends.
No, darling. Yes, yes. Not all of us, but I know all of us can fly to Miami, but Jackie can afford to.
Can afford.
Imagine being able to take a plane to Miami to buy things on. No, sorry, Jackie have money.
Jackie have a
So
lot
yes,
of money, a bag of money. I mean, I love it. I mean, Raul, I definitely want to invite you on for part 2 because
yes,
we're not finished yet. But we can't
no,
give the people them everything because there's so many more parts of you that I would love to share, and I know that they will want to know about you.
yes,
But for right now, in closing,
yes.
because you've blessed us so much, and I know that you've said a
Thank
lot that
you,
has will be helping so many people through
thank you.
how to build up self-confidence, how to go after your dreams, how to be fearless even in fear, how to trust yourself, believe in yourself, pick yourself up off the ground. But I know in part 2 we're gonna go deeper, so definitely you want to be listening now and make sure you're subscribing, you're sharing this episode with all your family and your friends that needs to hear this. We want to big up our Jamaican celebrity, and he's gonna be worldwide, mark my word, because I believe that he has a lot to offer this world, and he's multi-talented, and his gifts are going to continue to serve many, many more and reach and transform many, many
Thank
more lives.
you,
And you can just hear the passion in my voice because I truly,
thank
truly
you.
believe this, Raul. So I want to say keep doing what you're doing, and just leave us with something that's on your heart, because I know that you'll be coming back for part 2.
Yeah, I just want to tell everyone out there who's listening this, or whether you've heard from me before or you're hearing me for the first time, I am very thankful. I want everyone to know that gratitude. I never, one day has never passed where I've never acknowledged the gratitude either to myself or to the people who support me. I'm really thankful for this because people can choose to be entertained by someone else or be educated by someone else or be trained by someone else. But the fact that they take their time to choose me, I honor that, and I want to make sure that I continue in this path because, as you said, there are way more people that I want to touch. And but for those who have touched already or those who are going to be touched by this, thank you so much. Like the gratitude is something that I have. As I said, gratitude lives rent free in my head. That's what they say these days. So rent free. So gratitude lives rent free in my head and on my heart. So thank you so much.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. I love it. I love
Yes.
it. And as always, guys, remember to be good to yourself. Stay tuned for episode
Yes.
2, part 2, I should say, with Raul, as we're gonna dive deeper into his
Mhm,
passions, what he's currently
mhm.
doing right now, and how his life example thus far can help you to level up, whether it's in your career, your business, or your life in general. So blessings to
Yes.
you, Raul.
Thank
And
you.
we'll be speaking with the audience in the next episode.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful platform. Thank you so much. You're doing great and continue to do what you're doing because you're also a light for people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raul. Thank
Mhm,
you.
mhm. Yes.
Thank you for listening. If you've loved this episode, let's stay in touch. Head over to raquelwalters.com and subscribe to my email list so that I can send you updates on new episodes, exclusive motivational nuggets, and insider knowledge that's only shared when you join our community. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, as I want to know your thoughts about every episode. Follow me on Instagram at Your Purpose and Business Podcast. And remember, your life is beautiful, and this is a part of your journey. So embrace it. Speak to you soon.